Welcome to Getting Started with Flow. In this short screencast, I'll show you how to access your Flow dashboard and understand its different components. First off, let's log in. When your Flow device was installed, you will have been provided a username and login. In your web browser, navigate to dashboard.flowcoffee.co.nz and complete the login form with these details. Note that if you forget your password, you can always reset it using the link here. Let's log in. This will take you directly to your account overview. Here on the overview page, you can see a list of all the sites that you have access to. Each panel has the total number of shots poured, but perhaps more importantly, how many of the shots poured are meeting recipe. These results are color-coded, so you can quickly see which sites need your attention. From here you can click directly on any site or use the menu on the left. One thing to note before we move on is that at the top right of the page we have a date filter. This allows you to see these quick statistics for any given day. Let's look at High Street, as they are doing okay but have some room for improvement. When you first arrive at the site's dashboard, you'll see that there's a lot of detail concentrated into this one page. At first this may be overwhelming, but once we've looked at each section, it will make a lot more sense. Let's start with total shots. Total shots is the number of shots poured on the current date. This date defaults to today, but can easily be changed up in the top right hand corner. Here you can see that this cafe has poured 405 shots, 24% of which were their 40ml recipe, and 74% were their 60ml recipe. Around 2% of the shots poured weren't able to be matched to a recipe, and so are marked as unknown. Next we have the percentage of shots that meet recipe. Meeting recipe is very important as it ensures consistency of flavour and that you're getting the best out of your coffee and baristas. This cafe is performing okay and has 61.7% of their shots meeting their recipe. 20% of these shots are considered perfect and are very close to the ideal pour time for this recipe. 41% are okay, which means that they meet the target time parameters within an acceptable margin. Next along we have the shots that have missed on time. These are the shots that fall outside of the target time bands and are either too fast or too slow. You can see here that around 20% of the shots are too slow, which may suggest the grind is set slightly too fine and the grinder setting could be coarsened for a better result. The final metric is the percentage that have missed on volume. These are shots that have met a target time for a recipe but haven't delivered the full volume expected. Some small values here are acceptable, but note that large percentages here likely mean that your machine's volumetric settings could need adjusting. Further down the page, we have the shot variance chart. Each point on the chart represents a shot poured and how close that shot was to the ideal time target. The different coloured markers represent different recipes, which you can see by the key below. The inner green band represents the perfect shots, with the outer green band representing the OK shots. Shots that fall outside the green bands represent those that are too fast or too slow and did not meet your recipe. Weaving its way through the center of the chart is the variance trend. This is the average shot variance and ideally should be a straight line through the center of the green bands. Here you can see that it starts high, suggesting that the grind is too fine, and dips down suggesting that the grind is too coarse. Then it stabilizes and more of the coffees begin to land in the target time band. However, in this case, you can see that there are many shots still outside the green bands, which suggests some process improvements could be made to improve the overall consistency. As a final note on this page, when you are viewing the current day's data, it regularly refreshes so that it's always up to date. Also, you may have noticed the question marks dotted around on the page, which you can hover for some helpful in-context information. This concludes the short tour of the Flow dashboard. Thank you.